The only limits that we have are the limits that we place on ourselves. And our ability to recognize what we are truly capable of, not based off what we feel like we are, but off of what we truly are, is the starting line for us to begin achieving our dreams, our goals, and everything that we want to accomplish. These limits that we place on ourselves are not always true. Most of the times they're not. They're just perceptions of what either other people have told us and we've simply just believed are true about ourselves, or limits that we've placed on ourselves because we viewed what other people are capable of and then compared ourselves to them. There's things that we just pick up from our parents, from our childhood, from everything that we've gone through our entire life, and then we just assume them to be true, and that's how we create this whole dictionary of limiting beliefs that we seem to go by any time we want to view whether we are capable of going after an opportunity. Is this opportunity something I am capable of doing? Most of the time, you don't actually know. But we reference this dictionary that tells us based off past experience what we believe we are capable of, and then reference those limitations so that we can ask ourselves whether it's worth going after. And these limitations are what hold most people back from ever taking that first step, taking that first risk, if you want to say, to taking action on their goals, on the things that they actually want to do, because they view themselves as either capable or not capable of. Even when other people tell us their beliefs about us, our expectations, they are not true unless we believe them to be true about ourselves. And so when we pick them up, when we label ourselves with those limitations, then we're going to operate as if it's the truth. But what if I were to tell you there are no limitations? The limitations are just the ones that you set on yourself. If you recognize your own control over reality, you would be able to take control of every opportunity and then start on it comparatively to imagining it as something you don't have the opportunity to go after. It's a wall that is simply just not meant for you, that in some reason, if it was meant to be, it would show itself in a better light. Maybe this is showing you that this is an opportunity for you to now break down this wall, for you to move through it instead of still imagining it to be blocking your path. Because again, that wall is only there if you believe it to be. Reality is giving you every opportunity you choose to have internally. Because when we believe internally that we are deserving of an opportunity and believe ourselves as capable of, it will present itself. It will give you the chance. But are you willing to take it? Are you going to reference that old dictionary of limiting beliefs that has held you back your entire life, or are you going to create a new dictionary? We have this opportunity to write a new page every single day. You have control, and these opportunities will pop up. But until you break down those limiting beliefs, you will continue to block your own path instead of creating a new one. And this is where so many people feel like they need this persistence. For some reason, they just aren't able to persist in the actions that they're doing and the things that they want to achieve. They get bored of it after a certain amount of time. Well, most of the time it's not even that you're bored of it, it's that you have these limiting beliefs that tell you after you started that why continue? Why even push any further when it's just not something we're capable of? And then you create this single loop of starting, stopping, starting, stopping. Because eventually you get too far that your limitations then start to flare up and start self-sabotaging you, start hurting your chances of continuously making progress, which then obviously make it to where we're going to quit. We're going to start gaining those negative feelings that are going to make us not continue making progress. The longer you blame these limitations on things external to you, the longer you prolong the pain and suffering of not having control. What happens externally starts internally. You are the one that is creating these limitations. And so the longer you start to prescribe what you are capable of to things outside of you, the more you relinquish control and the more pain you will inevitably create. People like to say they've surrendered to the idea that they don't have control, but they're imagining control as everything outside of them. The idea that some force in the world is pushing them to be categorized into a certain bracket, and that for some reason they have to go to war with the world to fight back against it instead of creating peace internally, instead of looking inside and seeing where are they imagining these expectations. Things that they tell themselves that the government is forcing them to be categorized, things that they're saying society is forcing them to be. You can continue to live in these delusions of the idea that you do not have control, but is that ever going to serve you throughout your life? if you continue to imagine that there is some imaginary force that is trying to push you to be categorized into a certain thing, even if there was this force, subscribing to it doesn't give you control to change anything about it. And so, what are these limitations you're placing on yourself? And how do we begin changing them? Because we can recognize where there are limitations, the things you passively will tell yourself, that's just not something I'm able to do. When you walk into a room and you want to say hi to everybody, but you then tell yourself, I'm an introvert, that's not the type of person I am, you are then prescribing yourself as a certain type of person that has certain capabilities, and then denying yourself the opportunity of taking action on something you know is going to bring you joy, you know is going to bring you pleasure. You know achieving it and doing it would make you feel better than you currently do, and yet you still abide by those limitations that we've set. You read through that dictionary and then choose the limiting belief that then stops you from doing it. Because we don't have certainty if we do it. We don't have security. We start to fear of what will happen if we do something that is in uncharted territory. Oftentimes, we're so much more comfortable with living with the pain and suffering that we've known than doing the unknown and dealing with the unknown pain and suffering that we can't yet analyze, that we don't yet know about. But if we can move through these limiting beliefs and just stop labeling ourselves as a certain type of person that has certain capabilities, you can absolutely transform the person you are and what you are capable of. Because what we are capable of is what we tell ourselves we are able to. The first step to this whole process is just analyzing what are the limitations that you're placing on yourself. See when you try and take certain actions. See what aspirations you have. Where do you limit yourself? What are the things you tell yourself? What are the limiting beliefs that hold you back from taking the action you know you want to take and from achieving the goals you know you want to achieve? These are the limiting beliefs that we've picked up our entire life. But until we get clear on them and actually understand what limiting beliefs are playing the largest part in inhibiting us from reaching our goals, we can't do anything about them. So, once we clarify them and actually know what these limiting beliefs are, the second one is to find what the new person we want to be prescribes themselves to be. What are the things they tell themselves they're capable of? What are the things we are now capable of achieving? If you continue to subscribe to the old limiting beliefs, the old things you've told yourself, and the old story, you're going to continue to repeat it because the internal creates the external. But if we can change the story, if we can go back and rewrite the limitations that we place in the dictionary, rewrite what we believe ourselves to be capable of, we will then live the new story, and that will be expressed in our reality. And so, we need to rewrite it. We need to choose what the new person is capable of, everything they're going to achieve, what they are able to do. Because once we gain clarity, now on the old limitations, and what we are able to achieve now that we've rewritten the story, we simply just need to take action on it with consistency and be that new person. Begin acting like them. What are the things that they do? What are the actions they've done? What are the habits they are consistent on? If you're somebody that was previously fearful, you viewed yourself as an introvert who wasn't able to talk to people, who didn't take risks, who wasn't able to take adventures, but you know there's a pull inside of you to be adventurous. You feel that urge. You know there's things you want to do on your bucket list, but this old story has held you back. What are the new actions you can take? Well, the new version of yourself says hi to people, stares them in the eye, shakes their hand. They do fun things like go skydiving, go on long hikes. They go and meet new people every single week. And so we can begin doing these things and start acting in alignment with the person we want to become, and this will then start rewriting the story even more. We've now rewritten it in our mind, and now we're going to express it in reality. Because the more we decide this is the type of person we want to become, the more we begin to think the thoughts of the new identity, the more we can work in alignment with us. And what does this do? This starts to erase the old limitations. It starts to erase the old things we tell ourselves we're not capable of and rewrites them with the new story. You've just gone out and done the things you've told yourself your entire life you were not capable of doing. Of starting that business, of starting that habit, of going to the gym, of going skydiving, of meeting new people. You've broken that boundary. And you have to be willing to experience that discomfort if you want to absolutely transform your life in these ways. Like I mentioned, we feel this need for certainty. We feel this need to be comfortable in everything that we do. And when we step outside of that comfort zone, we're choosing to take a leap away from the certainty and comfort that we've known our entire life. and take a leap into these new experiences, these new actions, these new ideals that the future version of ourselves is willing to go forward with, is willing to chase after. It tells themselves they are capable of. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes. You start to realize that fear that you imagined, the things that you told yourself were going to be so challenging, the things you told yourself you were not capable of, aren't actually true. How easy it is to just step into a new environment, to actually do the actions you know you need to take when you tell yourself you're capable of it. When you change the internal dialogue that has held you back your entire life to empower you to do the actions you want to take, you transform the way you live your life. And it helps you begin rewriting those limiting beliefs that have stopped you from doing the things you want to do your entire life. And this can go for so many things. Tell yourself what you're capable of. Tell yourself you can achieve your dreams. Give yourself a clear plan, actions, and habits you can stay consistent on, and just start taking action. It's not going to be perfect. You can't expect perfection in this process, but what you can do is stay consistent, and I guarantee that consistency will pay off in the long run if you're willing to stay consistent and continue taking the action. This is how I've been able to absolutely transform my life. I remember before I started my first business, I had this idea that I was only capable of being interested in something for a week or two. A new game, a new hobby, a new business idea, or something I wanted to get started on. I had this timeline that I'm the type of person who can only stay interested for at most 2 weeks. Because what would happen? I'd play a video game for 2 weeks and I'd stop playing. I'd want to start a business and I'd stop in the first week. I'd want to do all these things. I'd want to learn something new. I'd want to stay consistent on something. And 99% of the time, I'd stop within 2 weeks. And so when I started my next business, I told myself, I am not stopping. I am someone who can stay consistent. I am going to set actions every day that I can complete to show myself I'm capable of. And the more I did it, the more I changed the story. I used to tell myself that if I wanted to, I could always go back. I could change my life, and I rewrote that story. I told myself I'm infinitely capable of everything I want to achieve, and so why would I ever feel the need to turn back? Why would I ever need this weird little safety net for myself when I always know there's some way that I can be successful? And I just continued to rewrite this story until I completely burned the old book and created a new one. A book of things I'm capable of. A book that no longer is defined by limitations, but is defined by capabilities of what I can achieve. And the more I did this over time, the easier it became. And the more I did this, the more I aligned with my values. So much of my life has been designed around this feeling of freedom, this feeling of capability, this feeling of whatever I'm interested in, whatever opportunity appears, whatever I want to chase, I am able to go after it. And again, the more we reinforce this, the more consistency we put into these actions, the more they become our default, the more they become what we're capable of whenever we think about it. And so, begin following this. What areas of your life have you feel like you've held yourself back on? You feel like society's held you back on, other people, and rewrite the story. We need to take control of our reality. Placing it externally, placing it on other people, placing it outside of ourselves does not help us. It does not serve us to create the life that we want to live, and will not allow you to gain and become the person you want to become. Gain those feelings, be able to take those actions, have those habits. When you rewrite the old stories, the old limiting beliefs, the things you tell yourself consistently that you are capable or not capable of, and rewrite them to the new story, the person you want to become, the person you want to be, the actions you want to take, and begin embodying that person every single day, having the same thoughts, doing the same actions, having the same feelings, and do them with consistency, you have the power to transform your life and the person you are today. And so, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please do make sure to subscribe. I also have a free community if you want to learn more structured lessons such as this on how to begin working towards your goals and achieving success with other like-minded individuals. If you click down the description, you can join that. And I hope to see you in the next one. God bless.